Hello, my name is Ivan, and welcome to the animation from scratch part of the pixel art workshop. In this video, we will talk about how we can take the knowledge that we've already have for drawing in pixel art and combine it to create not just static images, but a combination of either GIFs or use them in create animation sheets that can be put into engines like Unity, GameMaker, and so on to create your assets. Just a brief overview before we start drawing from scratch. Some of the most important parts. One thing that is good in pixel art, especially in pixel art tools and programs, is that they have a dedicated onion skinning. And we'll see what is that. But in general, onion skinning is when if you create a lot of frames of animation, the onion skinning actually puts the consecutive frames on top of each other so we can see how the different frames change and how our animation is going to play out. A lot of programs, not only pixel art, have them, but in my opinion, a lot of the ready-made pixel art applications also have them because it makes the workflow of animation so much easier. One of the important things, again, with creating assets for pixel art is that we are working with normally very, very small assets, let's say 32 by 32, 64 by 64, 128 by 128 assets. So we need to be smart in which parts we want to animate and which we don't want in each frame. So we can see here, for example, in this lumberjacks animation. In the idle animation, we can see that we can get away with very small movements of the hands to show that the person is standing still and maybe kind of breathing. When we walk, we of course need a bit more animation frames, but as we can see, even there, the movement of the head and the overall posture is minimal compared to the movement of the legs and the axe. When we're creating then some more complicated ones like running or jumping, of course, then we need to animate the legs and maybe the hair or the beard here, the axe a bit too much, more. But overall, one of the most important things that I would tell you is duplicate, duplicate, duplicate. If you can get away with duplicating a pose to create an animation, do it. If you can duplicate the position of the head, position of parts of the object that are not moving, of the background that are not moving in, let's say, 5 or 6 of the frames, that was gonna make your workflow so much faster, so much easier. Another thing that I would really suggest, and I've talked about it in the previous videos, is choose minimal colors. Here again, we can see that even though it's a lumberjack and it's a main character, there are not that many things that are happening. Like, we don't see his mouth or his eyes. We don't see a glint in the axe. We don't see even his shoes. Because all of these smaller details, they might look nice if it's something static that, let's say, maybe it's a background thing like a mountain or a really pretty picture in the back, or we want to make the poster of the game, then yes, we put that there. But when we are doing animation, we need to go minimal because every small detail, every additional shadow, every additional glint of lighting, every additional small detail we would have to animate, and if we don't animate, then it's gonna look weird. Yeah, and then last but not least, and what we're going to show is that to export animations, you can do it in normally in two ways. As a GIF, a lot of engines also support putting GIFs in. I would suggest that you go with sprite sheets or animation sheets, the same thing as we're seeing here. It's a sequence of sprites next to each other. Then normally when you input it in stuff like Unity, you just have to say how much is how big is each of the sprites here in the sprite sheet, and it cuts them up for you and makes a GIF for you. The good thing about sprite sheets compared to GIFs is that, yeah, you can actually see the whole thing play out. You don't, with a GIF, you need to import the GIF in some kind of application, then go through the animation cycle one at a time, while here we can straight away see how the whole animation is going to play out, what is changing, what is not. So it's much easier to, let's say, look at it and say, maybe we can do this idle animation a bit better if we make the character kind of crouch a bit if he's tired or something like that. Or the hard animation, we can make it a bit nicer if we don't have just one red frame, but we have some in-between frame where he is in between the green shirt and the whole red thing, something like that. Next, we're gonna go and do some animation from scratch. As part of the materials for this course, you'll find some animation from some in the animation from scratch folder. The folder, you can see is separated in two. One is GIFs and one is sprite sheets. Again, GIFs are already animated. They can be perfect, especially if you're going to put your game on Itch.io or somewhere else to kind of give an idea how everything's moving, but they can be also used as imports for some engines. And then we have also the sprite sheets that are a series of sprites that are separated either by no space or by some space. Here we provide some assets for you, and they are separated in 4 categories. So first we have a candle holder. It's one of the easiest that I would suggest if you're uncertain of the whole animation process, start with that. We're going to start with that as well. It has only 3 frames of animation, only the flames are moving. You can very easily see what is moving. There's not a lot of moving parts, so it's very easy to get a start. Then we have a blood splatter. We can see it here. We have a bit more, and we have here, it's, I would say, it's a bit harder, medium hardness. There's not a lot of color change, but there's a lot of movement and kind of combination of a lot of little bodies. So we need to be mindful that we animate a lot of the stuff at once so it doesn't look weird. Then we have a sakura tree that is moving. This one, you can see it has a bit more parts that are moving. We have the tree top that it's rustling in the wind. We have some clouds moving. We have the grass moving here. We have some petals falling. Of course, you can go even further, make the grass here also move together with the clouds or the top of the tree. We can have something like something come out of here, or like something go around to the roots, or the petals blowing off. So, but this one is a bit more complicated. We'll look into it. And the third one is a small character that I've provided with a running animation. It's a platformer character. We're going to look at it and see how we can reuse parts of the animation to make something that looks nice without taking half a day of animating and moving stuff around.